Echoes in the frost, the wind howled across the Antarctic research station like a hungry beast, rattling the reinforced windows of the small monitoring outpost. Dr. Nora. Winters pulled her thermal jacket tighter as she studied the peculiar readings on her equipment. For the third consecutive night, her seismic monitors had detected rhythmic vibrations from deep beneath the ice shelf, patterns too regular to be natural geological activity. "You're obsessing again," said Trevor, her research partner, placing a steaming mug beside her workstation. "Those readings could be equipment malfunction. Nobody would blame you for waiting until the storm passes." Nora tucked a strand of auburn hair behind her ear, her green eyes never leaving the monitor. "Equipment doesn't malfunction in patterns, Trevor. These vibrations have a sequence almost like communication." "Communication? From what? Penguins with jackhammers?" Trevor laughed, but his expression sobered when he saw Nora wasn't smiling. "You can't seriously be considering going out there now. The readings are strongest during the storms. If I wait, we might miss whatever's causing this." Nora began gathering her equipment, ignoring Trevor's exasperated sigh. "Director Hammond will have my head if I let you go alone in these conditions," Trevor protested. "Then don't tell him," Nora replied, already zipping into her extreme weather gear. "I'll follow safety protocols and stay connected." For hours, tops. Trevor knew that look in her eyes, the same determination that had made her one of the youngest lead researchers in the International Polar Science Initiative, despite the skepticism of her older colleagues. "Fine. But if you're not back in 4 hours, I'm calling search and rescue. Your career won't survive the paperwork." The moment Nora stepped outside, the wind nearly knocked her off her feet. Her specialized equipment, strapped securely to her back, felt heavier with each laborious step through the thigh-deep snow. The portable seismic reader blinked steadily, guiding her toward the source of the mysterious vibrations. 2 hours into her trek, the blizzard intensified. Ice crystals stung her exposed skin like tiny needles. But the readings grew stronger, pulling her forward like an invisible thread. The sound came suddenly, a low melodic humming that seemed to emanate from the ice itself. Audible even through the howling wind, Nora's heart raced. This was no equipment malfunction. She followed the sound, moving carefully across the treacherous terrain until her detector's signal peaked near a seemingly ordinary ice formation. As she approached, the humming intensified, vibrating through her boots. "Impossible," she whispered, her breath crystallizing instantly in the frigid air. According to her equipment, the sound originated from at least 50 meters beneath the surface. Yet she could hear it clearly now, as if it were calling specifically to her. She removed her glove just long enough to place her palm against the ice. A shock ran through her body, not painful, but electric, alive. The ice beneath her hand began to glow with a soft blue light, spreading outward in intricate geometric patterns. Before Nora could radio Trevor, the ice beneath her feet shifted. A spiderweb of cracks appeared and the ground gave way. She tumbled downward, her scream lost in the howling wind above as darkness engulfed her. The frozen gateway Nora awoke to the gentle hum that had drawn her across the ice. Her body ached, but a quick assessment confirmed nothing was broken. The heavy research gear had cushioned her fall. Looking up, she could see the narrow crevasse through which she had fallen, too steep and smooth to climb. Her radio crackled with static. The signal couldn't penetrate this deep. "Trevor's going to kill me if I survive this," she muttered, activating her emergency beacon, though doubtful it would transmit. As her eyes adjusted to the dim blue light, Nora gasped. She hadn't fallen into a natural ice cave, but a perfectly carved tunnel. The walls were smooth, inscribed with intricate symbols that glowed with the same phosphorescent blue light she had seen before falling. These weren't random patterns. They had the structured appearance of written language, unlike anything in human history. The humming grew louder as Nora followed the tunnel, documenting everything with her camera. The passage widened into a chamber dominated by what could only be described as a doorway, an arch of ice and some metallic material she couldn't identify. Covered in the same glowing symbols. "This is impossible," she whispered, reaching toward the symbols. "This ice formation is millions of years old. Human civilization hasn't existed long enough to... Who said it was human?" A voice spoke from behind her. Nora whirled around, nearly losing her balance. A figure stood in the shadows, tall, with broad shoulders and a graceful stance. As he stepped into the light, Nora's scientific mind struggled to process what she saw. He appeared human in form, but his skin bore intricate blue markings that pulsed with light, matching the symbols on the walls. His eyes were a striking silver that reflected the chamber's glow. "My name is Darian," he said, his English perfect, though with a musical quality to his consonants. "And you are very far from where you belong, surface dweller." "I'm Dr. Nora Winters," she replied, fighting to keep her voice steady. "How are you surviving down here?" "The temperature is perfectly comfortable for my kind." Darian moved closer, studying her with unconcealed curiosity. "The real question is how you found this place. The gateway isn't meant to respond to your kind." Nora thought of the shock she'd felt when touching the ice. "Your gateway. It called to me. I heard it through the storm." Something like surprise flickered across Darian's face. "Impossible. Unless—" he reached toward her slowly, palm upward, a gesture of peace. "May I?" Hesitantly, Nora placed her hand in his. His skin was warm, not cold as she'd expected, and the blue markings on his arm pulsed brighter at the contact. A tingling sensation spread up her arm. "Fascinating," he murmured. "You carry traces of the old energy. Somewhere in your bloodline, our peoples have crossed." "Our peoples?" Nora asked, suddenly aware she hadn't pulled her hand away. There was something comforting about his touch, familiar in a way she couldn't explain. Darian smiled, revealing teeth that were just slightly too white, too perfect. "We have much to discuss, Nora Winters. But this chamber isn't the place. Will you trust me enough to follow? I promise your questions will be answered." "Do I have a choice?" she asked, glancing at the unclimbable crevasse. "We always have choices," Darian replied, his silver eyes serious. "I can help you return to the surface if that's what you wish. But I don't think that's what you want, is it?" Nora thought of the mundane research papers, the skeptical colleagues, the lifetime spent seeking answers just beyond reach. Looking at Darian, she made her decision. Lead the way. The hidden world, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern that took Nora's breath away. A city sprawled before her, structures of ice and metal rising like crystalline formations, illuminated by the same blue bioluminescence that marked Darian's skin. Above, the cavern's ceiling glowed with artificial sunlight that mimicked the circadian rhythm of the surface world. "Welcome to Galactic," Darian said, watching her amazement with evident pleasure. "Our home for the past 12,000 years? 12,000? Nora's scientific mind reeled. "That predates most human civilizations." "We arrived during the last great ice age," Darian explained, as he led her along a path of smooth, polished stone. "My ancestors chose isolation over conflict when they discovered this continent. We've watched your civilization grow from afar." People moved through the streets, all bearing the same luminescent markings as Darian, though in different patterns and intensities. They stared at Nora with undisguised curiosity. "Are you human?" she finally asked. Darian smiled. "Technically, yes, though we diverged genetically thousands of years ago. Our adaptation to this environment accelerated certain mutations. The markings you see channel thermal energy that helps us regulate body temperature." Entered a structure resembling a council chamber. An elderly woman with elaborate silver-blue markings approached. "This is Elder Vala, our foremost scientist," Darian introduced. "She's particularly interested in your presence here." "Because I shouldn't have been able to find this place," Nora guessed. Vala nodded. "The gateway responds only to our bioelectric signature. Yet you activated it without assistance." "I've authorized genetic analysis," Darian explained. "With your permission." "Of course," Nora agreed. Extending her arm as Vala approached with a device resembling a small crystal, the device hummed against her skin. Vala's eyes widened at the results. "Remarkable. She carries traces of the original genome, perhaps from an explorer who integrated with the surface population centuries ago." "Is that why I could hear the sounds through the ice?" Nora asked. "Precisely," Vala confirmed. "You are distantly one of us." Over the next days, Nora immersed herself in learning about Galactic. Their civilization had developed clean thermal energy technologies that harvested heat from deep geothermal vents. Their society valued knowledge and artistic expression. With everyone contributing according to their talents, Darien became her constant companion, her connection deepening with each moment shared. One evening, as they watched the artificial aurora that danced across the cavern ceiling, his fingers intertwined with hers. "You've adapted well to our world," he observed. "It feels strangely familiar," Nora admitted. "Though I should be terrified about missing my extraction window, are you?" he asked, silver eyes reflecting the dancing lights above. "No," she whispered, "but I am worried about one thing. The research station recorded unusual thermal activity before I left. There's a corporate drilling team scheduled to arrive this month." Darian's expression darkened. "Their activities have been increasingly concerning. The vibrations threaten our structural integrity," Nora realized with sudden clarity that she stood at a crossroads between worlds, her growing feelings for Darien and his people balanced against her obligations to her own kind. "I should return," she said reluctantly, "at least long enough to redirect their drilling plans." Darian's hand tightened around hers. "If you leave, the gateway may not permit your return. Our council is divided on surface world contact." "Then help me find a way," Nora said, turning to face him fully. "There must be a solution that protects both worlds." His answer came not in words, but in the gentle press of his lips against hers, warm, certain, and filled with promise. Between two worlds, the research station bustled with unfamiliar activity when Nora emerged from the storm. Guided by Darien through a secondary passage that avoided the sealed gateway, Trevor nearly knocked her over with his relieved embrace. 3 days, Nora. We thought you were dead." His face shifted from relief to confusion. "How did you survive out there? And where's your equipment?" "It's complicated," she managed, noting the new personnel in corporate uniforms. "Who are they?" "Polaris Energy representatives," Trevor explained quietly. "They arrived yesterday with permits to begin exploratory drilling. Director Hammond is furious. They're using our research to guide their operation." Nora's heart sank as she reviewed their digital models. The proposed drilling site would penetrate directly into a chamber adjacent to Galactic. Director Hammond called her into a debriefing, his expression grave. 3 days missing with no explanation, Dr. Winters. I hope you realize your position here hangs by a thread." "Sir, we need to immediately halt the drilling preparations," Nora insisted. "My readings indicate geological instabilities that could catastrophically collapse under pressure." "Convenient timing," remarked Julian West, the Polaris Energy lead, smiling thinly. "Especially since our surveys show stable conditions perfect for extraction." "Your surveys are incomplete," Nora countered, carefully omitting any mention of the civilization below. Without proof, revealing Galactic would sound delusional and undermine her credibility. That night, Nora slipped away to the communications array, transmitting encoded data packets to the receiver Darien had given her. Hours later, he appeared at her window, the blue markings on his skin dimmed to near invisibility. "The council is divided," he whispered as she let him in. "Half want to collapse the tunnels connecting our worlds permanently. Others believe isolation is no longer sustainable." "The drilling starts in 3 days," Nora said. "I've tried delaying it, but without revealing your existence." Darien took her hands. "Show me their plans." They worked through the night, Darien's knowledge of the underground geography helping identify pressure points that would make drilling unsafe without revealing why. By dawn, they had compiled a convincing scientific argument based on verifiable surface data. What they hadn't planned for was Julian West observing their embrace through the window. Before Darien departed, the next morning, Nora presented her findings to Hammond and the research team. The director was beginning to look convinced when Julian interrupted. "Interesting theories, Dr. Winters. Almost as interesting as your midnight visitor." His smug expression froze her blood. "I wonder if your colleagues know you've made contact with non-human entities and are now compromised." "What is he talking about, Nora?" Trevor asked. Julian produced photographs showing Darien's distinctive markings. "I've already contacted security forces. Whatever this creature is, it poses a potential threat that requires immediate investigation." Nora realized with horror that she had inadvertently placed Glaturus in grave danger. The choice she had feared was upon her: reveal everything and risk both worlds, or lose all credibility and fail to protect either. "Director Hammond," she said finally, "I need to show you something. All of you. But we must go now, before military forces arrive." She met Trevor's confused gaze. "You wanted proof of intelligent life beyond humanity? Prepare to be speechless." The Bridge of Worlds, the storm, had intensified by the time Nora led the small group Hammond, Trevor, and against her wishes, Julian West, toward the hidden entrance Darien had shown her. The corporate security team followed at a distance, their equipment struggling against the Antarctic gale. "This is absurd," Julian shouted over the wind. "Leading us on a wild goose chase, while your non-human friend escapes." Nora ignored him, focusing on locating the concealed ice formation. When her hands found the familiar pattern, she pressed her palm against it firmly. Nothing happened. "Darien," she whispered, "please trust me." As if in answer, the ice began to glow, patterns spreading beneath her touch. The entrance appeared, revealing a stairway carved into the glacier that hadn't existed during her first fall. "My God," Hammond breathed, scientific curiosity overcoming his disbelief. Descending into the passage, the group fell silent as the glowing symbols illuminated their way. Trevor documented everything with shaking hands, while Julian's arrogance gave way to wary calculation. They emerged not into the gateway chamber, but directly into a diplomatic hall where Darien waited with Elder Vela and the council. The Glaturus representatives stood dignified, their luminescent markings at full brilliance, no longer hiding. "Welcome to our home," Darien greeted them formally. "For 12,000 years, we have lived apart from your civilization. Today, that changes." What followed was a revelation that transformed everything. The council presented irrefutable evidence of their civilization's history and technological achievements, particularly their mastery of thermal energy that made drilling not only dangerous but obsolete. "The energy you seek can be harvested without destruction," Vala explained, displaying models of their geothermal systems. "We offer knowledge exchange instead of resource extraction." Hammond was visibly moved. "This changes the fundamental understanding of human history," he said. "The scientific implications alone, the commercial applications, are incalculable." "Ow!" Julian interrupted, his predatory instincts redirected. "Exclusive rights to this technology are not yours to claim," Nora interjected firmly. "The Glaturus Council proposes a monitored knowledge exchange through a joint scientific commission, with all discoveries benefiting humanity broadly, not a single corporation." Julian scoffed. "Idealistic nonsense. The military will secure this site within days." "They'll find nothing," Darien said calmly. "We've survived this long because we can disappear completely if threatened. But that path benefits no one." The standoff broke when Trevor, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. "I've documented everything. If anything happens to this civilization, or to Dr. Winters, it goes public immediately." Hours later, an unprecedented agreement took shape. Polaris Energy would redirect its operation to help establish a research outpost that would collaborate with Glaturus scientists. The military would provide protection rather than threat, with strict protocols for contact, developed by a joint commission that Nora would co-chair with Darien. As the others returned to the surface to begin implementation, Nora remained behind with Darien in the council chamber. "You risked everything," he said softly, taking her hands. "Your career, your standing among your people. Some discoveries are worth the risk," she replied. "Some connections transcend the boundaries we create." His silver eyes held hers as his markings brightened, responding to her proximity. "The bridge between our worlds will require years to build properly." Nora smiled, moving closer until she could feel the warmth radiating from his skin. "Fortunately, I've just accepted a very long-term position in Antarctic research." Their kiss sealed a promise between them, not just of personal connection, but of healing the ancient division between their peoples. Above them, through a shaft in the cavern ceiling, the Aurora Australis danced across the Antarctic sky, bridging heaven and earth just as they now bridged to civilizations that had once thought themselves alone in the universe. As Darien held her close, Nora knew that what she had discovered beneath the ice was more precious than any scientific breakthrough. It was a future of infinite possibility.